Good morning, ladies, and welcome to our second in the series of WomX Masterclasses. It's so great to have you online. I'm really looking forward to today's sessions. We've been talking about strategy a lot on the WomX groups, and some of you that have gone through the accelerator understand the importance of having a strategy for your business and just thinking ahead. But I know Yolanda has got an amazing morning planned for us. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to you, Yolanda, and you can take us through exactly what you'll be covering, as well as tell us a little bit more about yourself, especially for the ladies that are part of the new WomX community and have not had the opportunity to engage with you. Just some background for those of you that may not be aware or have joined as a result of seeing this advertised on social media. WomX is a community for women in business. We held a structured accelerator program over 5 months. Yolanda was actually one of the businesses that was part of this program and that graduated from the program. Over 80 ladies graduated. In addition, we have had networking events in Durban, Cape Town, and Joburg, and those were hosted by Nedbank. And it was an opportunity to showcase women in business, and Yolanda has been a speaker at one of those events here in Durban, Umhlanga as well. So the community is growing. We now have a WhatsApp group of over 420 women. I will put the link to the group in the chat. I encourage all of you to also use the chat, share more about yourself, about your business. We will share the text of the chat with everyone attending as well as the recording. And please do put any questions you have for Yolanda, or when she asks questions, your responses to those in the chat as well. So Yolanda, with all of that admin out of the way, over to you.
Thank you, Jayshree, and good morning to the amazing ladies here this morning joining us. Congratulations, firstly, for taking and making the decision to be here. I think that's one of the key things, is always deciding that I'm going to be here and actually following through with our decisions. So as Jayshree said, there's a jam-packed session waiting for you, and as I'll take you through. But before I go into what I've prepared and sharing a bit of my insights and knowledge, a little bit about myself and my background. As some of you may know who I am from our WomX group, there's also a few of you that have no clue as to who I am. So my name, as Jayshree's mentioned, is Yolanda Tui. I am a woman in business, a business owner. I have an accredited training, skills development, and coaching business. I've been in operation for close to 7 years now. And in business and in what I've gained in working across different sectors, across different industries, it's just about how do we develop each other, how do we uplift each other, how do we ensure that we all move either at the same pace or that we are growing, and that's towards our vision, our strategy, and how we plan. I am an NLP practitioner, certified life, business, and executive coach. But yeah, I don't want to bore you with all the details. I'm on social media. I'm on LinkedIn. Please, if you want to connect, you're welcome to connect. And you can review a little bit more about me, my business, and what it is that I do. I do a lot of organizational strengthening, capacity building, and supporting organizations through change management and transformation. So my base that I always work from is transformation and change, and in supporting organizations through those processes. And again, as I will share with you why the reason behind actually having this business masterclass in vision, strategy, and planning. And yeah, before I really get into that, as I'm quite happy that one of the ladies mentioned that she's already got a notepad ready, her pens ready, she's just poised and waiting to take lots of notes. And as Jayshree also mentioned, please use the chat functionality, because as we go through the slides that I've prepared, there will be lots of questions that I will ask of you. And with you already deciding to be here, you've made the decision that you are ready for change. You are ready to make 2024 as magnificent as you envision it to be, but better than this year. And I think that's what our aim is, always to improve and always to increase from our knowledge base, from our understanding and our growth, whether it's financially, whether it's in business, whether it's with our products. It's literally just moving from one place to the next. So thank you for joining. And before I move into my next slide, I would appreciate us just pausing for a minute and really feeling the seat that we're sitting in right now, being present here, being conscious in what will be shared, but also sharing a community of like-minded women around the table. And here I'm making a huge assumption that it's only women around the table and around the room. And if there is any guys around, welcome. And I hope you enjoy sharing with the ladies as well. But really just being present, as difficult as that is as women, to not be distracted by our commitments, our families, our kids, our partners, the decisions that we have to make every day, and the clients that are constantly looking for us. I want us just to pause and really be present and really remove all the other things. Almost make a decision to say, I'm going to be present for the next 2 hours, and thereafter I'll get back into life and answering the many questions and clients' information that come through. So let's get started, and let's start falling in love with our vision again. I think a lot of us, as we move through, and many of you that are business owners in your own right and also working for organizations, we find that we get caught up in the rat race of doing life, and that we forget how to live and how to fall in love with processes again. We exist, and we exist from one item to the next, and we can almost use it as tick box approach, you know, one item off my list of things to do, and then moving on to the next, where we don't actually appreciate where we are. So in saying that, I'd like us to view this picture, and I want you just to take a moment and share in the chat box with what you see in this picture. What comes to mind? What is this? What feelings does this elicit in you? Yeah, and please share what you see. And Jayshree, if you can just share with me what's coming up in the chat box. Organized chaos. I love that, Natalie. Focus. Yeah, infinity. Interesting word, infinity, that is, and a spiral of chaos. Definitely a pattern, Mandisa. Possibility, lace, spirals. I think from seeing the information and seeing what you've shared on the chat, a lot of us are seeing the same thing, seeing similarities in terms of what's presented here, starting small, becoming big. So again, it's what do we see? Some of you are looking from top into, so top down approach. Some of you are looking from the bottom up. So you seeing a spiral of things either becoming smaller or becoming bigger, dependent on which way you are seeing the picture and which way you are viewing and your perspective when you look at this, this photo. But I also want to just share with you the reason for me having the session and wanting to share what I've gained and what I've learned and the lessons that I've experienced over the last few years. Fundamentally, I've noticed that there are two main approaches that organizations function and operate in. And I'd almost want to debunk this and try and change this narrative and the story that keeps presenting itself in the way that we operate and in the way that we function. Number one is each department and area operates, I want to say, in silos and in isolation. So it's all about me. It's all about what needs to happen now. It's not about what's happening in the organization as a whole or what's happening in the different departments. It's all about me, 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 me. And the second lesson or thing I want to highlight is that some organizations and some individuals actually utilize these three different areas as in vision, strategy, and planning, and they integrate it into one. They actually see it as one element and not as each individual element, and that each individual element needs to be critically reviewed as you go through, as you build your organization, as you grow your organization, as you strengthen your organization. They are not, they cannot be seen in isolation, one, and they cannot operate as a whole, because each element is so critical to the function of your organization. And if you look at this, right now we're sitting in the session, listening to what I'm sharing with you. But at the same time, I want you to look at, as you review this photo and the slide, I want you to think about this chaos that you've mentioned in the chat box, this spiral that we find ourselves in. Where are you now? We are at the end of 2023. We are in November, the 15th of November to be precise and exact, 20 minutes past 10. And how much of this year has been a whirlwind, a roller coaster of emotions, of setbacks, of frustrations, of information, of sometimes to the point where we felt like we don't want to move on, or we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, or that we've actually had to move out of our comfort zone. And I want you to share with us some of those experiences and frustrations that you've had over the last, I want to say, 10 and a half months, as we are in the 11th month of the year. But just, have you moved out of your comfort zone at all? Or does it feel like you've been in the spiral, downward spiral, where you're just moving from one item or one task or one activity into the next activity, and you are just on, we call it a rat race, where we're constantly on that wheel and we don't know when it's going to stop. The only time I want to say it stops for probably a few hours, and there I might be exaggerating, is when we sleep at night. Because as I know, and I'm speaking from experience, when we put our heads down, how many of us actually fall asleep immediately? How many of us actually don't lie awake at night thinking about all the things that we haven't done, all the things that we still need to do in preparing for the next day? And if you resonate, and if a lot of what I'm saying resonates with you, then please share it, because it's not only you, it's many of us that experience the same thing. And hopefully by the end of this session, we would have gained insights as to how do we do things differently, so that 2024 doesn't feel like a repeat of 2023 and doesn't feel like a repeat of 2022. Because if we look back at the last 5 years of our lives, is there a pattern? Like so many of you said, there's a pattern that comes up. There are themes that haven't changed over the last few years. And in recognizing that you are in this place, I want us to now move out of, we're actually functioning in our left brains. We are functioning in that area where we are constantly in a state of flight or freeze. And we cannot, as business owners or individuals working in organizations, in your departments, living in that left brain mode or state continuously. This change needs to happen, and by making the decision to be here today, you've said, I've had enough, which is great. Absolutely, Natalie, keep rolling on. You know, we shouldn't be rolling on. We should be growing. We should be improving. We should be doing better and wanting better for ourselves, because I think that's another thing. We sometimes get into this mode of just accepting things as they are and not wanting, or maybe let me not say not wanting, not knowing how to change and having the skills or the tools to change. So now that we've identified, we've been living in our left brain, we've been living in this anxiety, anxious-based state of flight, freeze, what reaction and reacting to life versus responding, and knowing that I have a choice in terms of that response. I want us to move into the vision that we have for our organization, the vision that we have for ourselves in our personal and our professional capacity. But just that vision that we've had, I want to say, from the time we started our businesses, our entrepreneurship journeys, our soulpreneurs, wherever you might find yourself right now, even in your career, you had a vision for where your career, where you want that career to go to. And as we go through starting to think about our vision, I want us to really to get into that mindset of being open and curious and willing. I think those are three key concepts that many of us don't actually live in. We've been, I want to say, in a state of receiving and being conditioned by society that this is what we should do. This is how we should operate. This is what we need to do as in the next steps in our organizations. And yeah, I want us to just quickly put in the chat, how old is your business? For those who have businesses, for those of you who have or are individual businesses, we've just started out, small businesses, large businesses, and we'll get into that debate a little bit shortly. But I want us just to share with the group, where are you? How old is your business? Are you a startup, meaning that this is the first year in operation? Have you been in operation for a couple of years? Or is it just a concept at this point that you haven't fully decided? You haven't actually taken the leap of faith yet. You haven't jumped and said, I am definitely doing this. You're still in that phase of, should I not? Where am I? And thank you very much for those ladies that have already said 9 years, 5 years, 15 years. Wow, Tatu, that is amazing. You've probably learned quite a few lessons over the years in terms of operating and doing business. So I'm really happy to see that many of you have been in operation for quite a number of years, and that there's also some of you that are fairly brand new, spanking new, just started. And I know that this, as we go through, the insights that will be shared will help you, whether you are a new business, whether you are in operation for less than 5 years, or whether you've been in operation for 15 or plus years. When we look at our vision, when you start a business, and I know many of you around the room would have experienced this, you share your ideas, you share your products, your services, you share with your greater community, your family, your friends, colleagues, about what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to achieve. And many of our friends and family and colleagues have said, okay, have you got this? Have you got your business plan? Have you got your vision statement? Have you got your mission? Do you know what your value add is? Do you know what it is that you're going to be bringing and sharing with these individuals? And I want to say some of you have almost adopted that approach of a document to say, these are the list of things that I need to be able to do in order for me to register my company, in order for me to be successful in my company. And you've done it almost methodically, where It's just, okay, I've done it. I've got a mission statement. I've got a vision statement. I've got my values done. I've got a kind of a culture. I've got a business plan and the elements that come in with that business plan. I've done that. But it's not been from a state or an approach of what is it that I really want to achieve in this vision? What is it that what is that change and that impact that I want to make with going into business? Not just, okay, I want to sell a product, or I've heard that I'm excellent in this, or I'm an expert in this, and this is what I'm now going to give my hand at. Or in some cases where we are forced to start our own businesses because of being retrenched or losing jobs or whatever the case might have been, for the reason for you starting your journey as a business woman today. So the other question that I want to ask you, and please share as you've been doing in the chat box, is, do you know what success looks like to you? Have you identified that? Do you know what happiness looks like for you? Not for your partner, not for your children, not for your family members, as I know there's lots of pressure put on us, especially as women, to do certain things within the families. I want us to really think about what is success. So when I've attained that vision that I have for my business and for myself, what does that look like? Do you know what that looks like at this stage?
We can
Yes?
also ask the ladies, and I put it in the chat as well, to just put their hands up if they want to share, so we can hear some of their voices and their inputs as well. So if you ladies want to share, just put your hands up or unmute, and then I'll direct the question to you, and you can share with the rest of the group as well.
Thank you, Jayshree. Yes, please, let's hear some other voices, because it's definitely about engagement and interaction today. Are there
Do you
any?
want to repeat your question, Yolandi?
Sure. So what the question was, do you know what success looks like for you?
So I'd like to respond while we're waiting for the other ladies to just check. You know, for me, success looks like being able to sustain our business for another 5 years. And when I say sustain the business, I mean with the existing models that we have, and keeping the existing resources that we have so that they could also continue working with us, satisfying our clients' needs. So for me, that's what success looks like, at least for the next couple of years.
Thank you for sharing, Jayshree.
I see we have another hand up. Dicker Lady, you're welcome to unmute and share, and then we'll come to you, Natalie.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone again. I'm gonna show my video just a little bit, but I'm not happy showing video this morning. Thank you. It's great being here. Thank you so much, Natalie, for a good Yolandi, for a good start, for a great start. For me, I am the founder of Dynamic Teams Coaching Company, coaching and mentoring. Been doing it for 9 years. And I don't want to steal your limelight. I'm also a strategy facilitator. So for me, really, if I have to paint success for my company, would be having sustainable clients that I have contracts that ranges from a minimum of 3 years to more. That would be sustainability for me, because that would give me security to be able to grow and scale up. Success for me also, it looks like it's companies or entrepreneurs that I work with, when I see them succeeding and being able to employ more people as I work with them. So their success becomes my own success. Me being able to employ more people also that becomes growth for me. As it is right now, I'm working on working out of, I believe I have outgrown my home office. I'm at home right now. I work from home, but that is success for me. By the time I'm out, then I think that I would have reached a certain milestone in my business and with a certain number of employees also. So that would be successful for me. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Dikoledi.
Thank you so much, Dikoledi. Natalie, you had your hand up, and then we've also got a comment in the chat, Yolande, if you want to have a look at that. Go for it, Natalie.
It's interesting that Dikoledi said that, because that's kind of where I'm at the moment as well. So also working from home, I have a health and safety consulting business. And I think it's interesting that, when you ask the question about what does happiness mean to you and what does success mean to you. And as business owners, we kind of have to, it's really difficult, but we sometimes have to separate ourselves from the business. So what my happiness as me, Natalie, will be different to what my happiness as business owner means, and tying with the success as well. So, you've got your vision, you've got your mission, and those can also be two different things. So yes, success for me in 2024 is very similar to Dikoledi. I also want to expand. I want to create business opportunities, whether it's for staff, whether it's for interns, that I can also give back to them in terms of getting experience, whether it is co-opetition, so co-elaboration with people. And very similar to her, if your client is successful and they are using what you've implemented, then that's success for you as well. And also sometimes I think you need to find what your personal happiness is, because then that will make you a happy business owner. We are not working for corporates. A lot of us got into this because we didn't want to work for corporates, whatever the case may be. But are you happy being self-employed, or are you happy being a business owner? And that's the shift that I needed to make in the last year. And WomX was part of that, process of, I've been in business 5 years, but I don't want to be self-employed. I want to be a business owner. So success for me as a business owner means having staff. Success for me being self-employed means having a nice salary, just for me alone. So yeah, you've got to really, it's interesting, look into your vision, which is, a little bit of a shorter term than mission, or mission is a lot bigger. There's various things. I hope I'm making sense, but yeah, that's what it means to me.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing, and Dikoledi as well. Yeah, I fully agree with both your comments in terms of what success looks like for you. And Loshni has mentioned hers as well, making impact with skills that she offers and serving the community and having peace. And Natalie, you've shared in terms of, or I want to say, affirmed what has already been said in terms of, yes, it's client, yes, it is salary from a different perspective. And more importantly, that there should be a separation between my success and my happiness versus the business success and the business's happiness. And when you start thinking about your successes, you start really, I want to say, getting down to what it is that you want to achieve. So we're getting into the meat, I want to say, of your part of your planning, and really your goals and a little bit of strategy. That's what you can see in terms of what it is that you want to achieve. When we're talking about vision, I want us to think about a vision in the context of the quote that I'm going to share with you now, which says, vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. So when we think about our vision, have you ever felt, and I want to speak to, well, everybody in the room, whether you are a new business starting out or in business for 19 years, have you ever felt, when you've thought about your vision for your organization, have you felt that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of fear, that feeling of heart palpitations? I don't know if you've ever experienced that, or if, and please share this if I'm talking nonsense or you think, what is this? What is Yolandi on about? Then please share that. Vedette, thank you so much for saying yes, as I'm not the only one. Because that is what our vision should be. It should not be something where you feel, or you know exactly how to attain it. You know exactly what the steps are. You know exactly what the route is that's going to get you to your vision. Imposter syndrome, overwhelmness, feeling of anxiousness, and really just not knowing, no, that can't be it. You know, that feeling of I'm probably dreaming if I think I can ever achieve that. But I want to show you that if your vision is making you feel like bringing any sort of fear into your headspace or into your I want to say into your heart space, then that is the right vision. That's the vision that you should have for your organization. That's the vision that you should have for yourself, because a vision is not something that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, or you can see the end goal, or you know exactly how you're going to achieve it. What I'm saying is the vision is not knowing how you're going to achieve it. Because if you know how you're going to achieve it, if you have those steps, then I'm sorry to say you are playing very small. That is not a vision. That you can almost say is your mission and one of your goals, one of those goals that you have for 2024. Your vision needs to be something that is completely, you know, they speak about your big audacious goal or big hairy audacious goal. That is what it should be. It should be something that you have no idea how you're going to achieve it, or something that takes you completely out of your comfort zone. And that's what I want you to start thinking about. I want you to really look at, what is it that I want to achieve in my business? And I want to also let you in on a secret. People think that your vision should be something that you do once when you start your business, and that's where it remains. No, your vision needs to be and needs to start with your dream. What dream did I have lying awake for some many years ago, for some the last few months, for some a year ago? What is that dream that's always been in my head, of whether it is to change the world, whether it is to make more of an impact in your community, whether it is serving your clients to the best that they feel uplifted, that they feel these products that you've shared with them or sold to them are actually making a difference and they can see a difference in their life. What is that dream that I want to say that you actually haven't shared it with anybody? You haven't told anybody about your dream. That's the dream that I'm referring to right now. That is part of the vision that I want you to go back at and re-look at. I want you to take a moment now, or make a note in that notepad of yours of going back and revisiting your dream, your vision that you had when you started your business. And I want us to get out of that mindset of where we're trying to please others, where we're trying to listen to others. And don't get me wrong, we do need advice. We do need people around us that support and uplift us. But again, we need to also have a filter as to how much of that information are useful and valid, and how much comes from a state of their own personal fears or their own personal agendas as to whether they actually want you to succeed or not. So again, I want us to really look at our vision and see, is it still relevant today? Is that the vision that when I started out my business, is that where I am now? Or does it need to be reviewed? Does it need to be slightly tweaked or amended or changed completely? Because as many of you know that have been in business for a while, your business has evolved. It has not stayed the same. And because of that evolution, because times have changed, we've had to adapt and change as well. So again, I know there was a time when I started out my business. and I looked at where I am. When I looked at my business, I want to say 6 years ago, it's not the same vision I had when I started out. The vision, that dream that I had, is I'm getting closer to that dream that I never shared with many people. Very close family, friends know about it, but we are too scared because we're constantly thinking about what others are going to think about our dream and about the vision that we want, and more specifically about the purpose, because every vision has a purpose. Every vision has a why as to where it is that we want to go, as to what we want to achieve, what it is that we want to change. Because when we're starting out a business, there's always a need. You're always addressing some challenge or some problem or some niche that you've identified in your community, in your province, or in the country as a whole, or even globally, depending on where you operate in. Again, make a note to revisit your vision and really look at what is the purpose that I'm trying to fulfill? Where is it that I want to go? What is it that I want my business to stand for? What is the foundation that I'm building my business on? And again, who am I serving? Who is that end product going to impact? And again, I want us to, as we take a moment to make a note of that, I want us to look at this picture and just reflect on what we see here. And as much as this picture is here and we're looking at it, I want us to look at our own hands. So cup your hands, take your hands, look at it, put it in front of you, and tell me what you see. And yeah, I know this sounds strange. You're going to say, I see my 5 fingers or my 10 fingers. I see the lines in my hands. And absolutely, we also grow with change. And Natalie, I think that imposter syndrome, I don't think you ever grow out of it. You just step into different roles of imposter syndrome as you grow. Because at every point you feel, I'm not good enough, or I'm not the expert. There's many other people that know a lot more about the subject than I do. But again, we grow. We aren't, we are a flowing river. We're not a stagnant stream of water. Capable, strong hands, nurturing hands. With these hands, I can do so much. 100%. I'm capable, and I'm very happy to hear strong, positive messages coming through as you look at your hands. And now I want you to, as you look at your hands, I want you to think about your vision for your business in your hands. When you look at your vision, your current vision, that is, not the one that you will be tweaking and amending at the end of the session. When you look at that, or when you think about your current vision, do you see it in your hands? Yes or no? Yes. And if it's no, then please say no. If it's maybe, then say maybe. If you don't see it at all, then say, I don't see it at all. I'm happy, not enough clarity yet. Honestly, no. Thank you so much for being honest. And that's what I want. I want you to share honesty. This is a safe space for sharing, engaging, and growing together. Struggling? Yes, with fear. And Luyanda, I'm very happy that you've mentioned yes with fear. And Nikki, daunting to acknowledge that it's in my hands. Yes. And when I think about your responses, I smile because I know exactly where you are. I've been there. I know that feeling of when you see something in your hands and you think, oh, I can protect it. This is where it is. I don't need to think outside the box. I don't need to think further. This is exactly what it is that I want to achieve. And you're comfortable and you're happy. But you know what? If you're comfortable and happy, I'm sorry to say, you are still playing too small. Because if you can see your vision, it's great that you can see it in your hands, but then it means that your vision is not, it's not that dream that you had, that you dreamt a few months, a few years ago. Your dream, your vision should be, as if you look at the picture that's on the screen right now, it should be as what it depicts, that global, that world map that we see there. That's what your vision, it should be so big that it should scare the hell out of you. It should create so much anxiety and fear around, how am I going to achieve this? Am I dreaming too big? Am I thinking too big? Am I being unrealistic in what I envision, where I want to be one day, in 5, in a year, in 10 years' time? I want to assure you right now that your vision is not the steps that's going to, it's not that roadmap or that route or that the steps that's going to build you to it. Your vision needs to be big and massive and incapable of staying in your hands. It should be something that, I want to say, overflows from your hands, from where you are currently. That is then a vision. Otherwise, again, you're playing too small. You're thinking too small. You are thinking like so many others think around the room, but also around the world, where we think, I just need to start a small business. I just need to earn X amount of money. If I earn X amount of money, I'm happy. If I have 1 or 2 staff within me, within my business, I'm happy. I don't need to be one of those global organizations like Richard Branson has built, or like Elon Musk, or any of the business role models that we look at and we think, how do they make it? How do they get there? They all started exactly the same place we are, or we started in. They all started at 0. They all started at the beginning, at the starting point. So you aren't behind in terms of where it is that you are trying to get to. 100%. If you are the only one in your business, then you don't have a business. You have a job in your business. And I agree with you. You are what they call solopreneurs. If you are a business operating your business, then it means that you have people within your business that work for you. You're not, because if you cannot take a holiday and know that your business will still operate, then you are what we call solopreneurs. And ideally, you want to get out of your business. You want to get out of being the owner-operated person, or the only person in your business that's making your business function. Where the clients are the only ones asking you for, or the only ones that's actually servicing your clients, or being the one that's building that product line that you have. You are self-employed, yes, 100%. And our vision is to get out of that self-employed title and place that we're in. So again, and I want to share with you my vision statement that I have. And as I've mentioned, it has changed over the years, but I also want to share with you a few other vision statements. But again, as I do that, for those of you on this call that haven't created your vision statement or don't know what a vision statement is, it starts with 2. And as you build on that, it becomes so that. So some of you, and as we'll go through the vision statements that I've selected here, will say to create a better life every day, or to inspire people, or to build a nation, or to build a community so that people's lives can be changed. I want to build products so that it feeds the nation. I want to build a community of like-minded people so that we can share knowledge, that we can grow together. Again, these 3 words might seem simple, and you'll eventually get it into a statement. Sometimes your vision statement will start out as a paragraph, or in some cases, longer than a paragraph. And it's okay, because you are developing it and tweaking it to the point where you can say it as an elevator pitch. And that's what your vision statement should be. It should be concise, it should be to the point, and it should literally capture what it is that you're trying to achieve. And that somebody else can see, oh, okay, they know exactly. I can see the passion coming through. I know exactly what it is that they're trying to achieve and who their target market is. So my vision statement, and as I mentioned, has changed and been tweaked, is to inspire individual and organizational transformation and create a legacy of impactful and positive change. And I'm going to let you in on a secret right now. It is under construction at the moment, so it is going to change from what it is. But I want to also show you in saying that our visions will change, but it will not change drastically. The only time it will change drastically or completely is if your vision statement wasn't true to your purpose and your why. It wasn't true to that dream that you had many moons ago. That's when it will change. Or if you've evolved as an individual and you've realized, I'm doing it not because of what I actually feel and passionate about, but because of what others have told me. So I've adapted my model, I've adapted my vision, I've adapted how I operate because of external factors and not internal factors. So again, be very mindful that this process is not a quick process. It can be quick if you're very clear and if you've got the clarity and you've got the support of community of practitioners around you to help develop that. And other times it is a process of growing into the vision statement that you have. Nike's vision statement says to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Again, it speaks about broad. It's not small. So again, Nike is not playing small. Oxfam says a just world without poverty. Now, you and I both know, how do we alleviate poverty? Not just in our country, in our continent, but globally. They're not being specific. They're not saying they're looking at poverty in their little region or in their province. If you read the statement, it means that they're speaking about it in the world and not on a small scale. IKEA says to create a better everyday life for the many people. Again, these organizations aren't playing small. Uber says we ignite opportunity by setting the world in motion. Broad, but also very specific. There's the to and there's the so that. What is that impact? What is that change that I want to create in the world? And then Honda says, we will destroy Yamaha. And I've specifically found this statement, this vision statement, because I wanted to illustrate how you can change and sometimes how it can drastically change from what it was. I mean, their vision statement was in 1970s, we will destroy Yamaha. And look how small that was. And in 2022, just last year, they changed it to serving people worldwide with the joy of expanding their life's potential. Now, how different are those two vision statements? Vastly different. Again, and I'm speaking to those that have been in business a little bit longer and those that have just started and starting your journey. It is an amazing journey. Yes, there's lots of ups and downs. There's lots of growth. There's lots of amazing, happy moments. And there's a lot of very painful journeys or experiences and lessons that we have to learn. However, this is life. This is how we go through life. And this is how we grow. When we change, we have to be open. Remember earlier on, I asked about how open, how curious, how willing are you? So I'm going to ask you that question again right now. Are you open? Are you curious to see where will this go? Where will my vision take me if I really take away those limitations, those things that hold me back in terms of my dream and my vision? And really, how much can I expand? How far can I grow? When I really take the time out to review my vision statement and be honest and true to me as an individual and my organization, because as much as they are two separate entities, and sometimes we operate as two separate entities, our values, our personal values, mimic our business values. Because if they are in conflict, your business will never grow and will never get off the ground, and you'll always have challenges within your business if that isn't in alignment. So now I want you to think about, as we look at this picture, think about your business. I know we've had, for some of the ladies that have already spoken, we've got somebody in occupational health and safety. We've got somebody in coaching and strategy like I am, in terms of the service offerings. There's some of you that are in business development and many others that are sitting around the table and around the room that have different organizations, or I want to say in exactly the same products or service offerings that you offer. These are umbrellas. Different colors. Are they unique? Some might say no, because if we really look at them and look at them closely, what is the differences that we see? And here, if you want to, you're welcome to add the differences in the chat. But again, what are you seeing is different? Maybe just the colors. Maybe in some cases the handle. Maybe not even. Maybe some of you can see the umbrella with a better angle than others, so you can see a little bit more of the umbrella. But think about your business or your organization right now. I know in the sector and the industry that I'm in, there are many service providers that are accredited. There are many service providers that offer organizational strengthening, that offer capacity building, that offer workshops, seminars, accredited training, non-accredited training, that do online webinars, that offer e-learning as part of their offerings and their services, that offer coaching, whether it's business executive or life coaching. I want to say our businesses are almost exactly the same in terms of our offerings. What makes us unique? What makes us different? Not just in the color, being, okay, I'm a woman-owned business or woman-operated business. I'm a colored female in South Africa. I look different, but what makes us unique and different in what it is that we bring into our organizations? What is it that we're trying to achieve in our organizations? And this is where we start delving into, from that vision, that massive expanding vision that we have for our business. We're now going into a little bit more of the theory side, the nitty-gritties, the detail of what it is that we do different, that makes us unique, that value add that we bring into our organizations, that is just me. You know, that saying where they say, everyone else is already taken, by Oscar Wilde, so you have to be your authentic self. Yes, there is no one like me. There's no one like you sitting around the table. We are different, and we need to embrace that diversity. And the same with our organizations. What is your unique product or service or approach that you have in your organization that will get your customers, your clients coming back to you, wanting more of you? Not necessarily your product or the service, because that service they can get anywhere else. But what is that one thing that makes them come back to you? And as you identify that, or as you start thinking about that, and I know it's not easy, because even in my business, and as long as I've been in my business, I've had to tweak that and adapt and really dig deep within to find out, what is my unique approach? What is my value add? What makes me different to the many amazing service providers out there that do incredible things for their clients and their customers and their participants? And we really need to identify, acknowledge, and then work from that space as to how do I tweak, how do I mend, how do I grow, and how do I make that clear. And that's where clarity comes in with my clients, my customers, and with the people that I engage with on a daily basis. And this takes us into what I call strategy. And some people, I want to say, integrate strategy and strategic planning or strategy planning, and they see it as one concept. I want us to debunk that in the sense that it is two separate things. What strategy is versus what planning is, it's two separate elements and areas within your organization that you need to develop, that you need to grow, and that you need to continuously review. You cannot see it as vision, strategy, and planning as one cluster and as one element, because if you do, you're going to find at some point in your business that certain things aren't working, certain things aren't integrating well or working well, or your staff or your I want to say the people that your stakeholders, including the people that you work with closely in your organization. So it might not be staff, it might be other collaborators or role players that you work with or you bring on board. Somewhere along the line, you'll find there's a disjoint, there's inalignment. And it's because we've looked at these three concepts as one element. Strategy is what I want to call our guide and our theory from our vision, that big audacious goal that we have or dream that we have, and really, how do we theorize around that vision? How do we start now thinking about how do I get to that vision? How do I eventually implement it? What is the detail that I need to get into? And it starts with an integrated set of choices. We all have choices. We had a choice this morning before coming on this call. We decided I wanted to, okay, let me take a step back. You had a choice when the flyer or the post went out on Monday on social media within the WomX group. We had a choice to click on, yes, it's something I want to do, and yes, I need this, or debating, oh, no, do I have time? I don't. I would like to, but no, not today. I'll listen to the recording. We had a choice to make. We had a choice, firstly, and then we had a decision to make. And for those of you that are on this call now and in this room, you made the choice. You took the decision to be here. You took the decision at the beginning of the session to be present and conscious and to gain insights, whether it is just making notes. If we're not going to hear your beautiful voice today, that's also fine. Or to be active in the chat. Every decision started with a choice. And strategy is all about how do we take all the choices that we have and we integrate them so that they speak to each other, so that it's not one in competition to each other. And if we think about what we said initially about working in silos in isolation, your strategy cannot be that. It needs to be something that mixes, that gels, and that, like the word says, integrates. And your strategy should be positioning you in a playing field of your choice. Remember what I said a few minutes ago, that there's many service providers or many consultants that do exactly what I do. How do I position myself that I am different, unique, yes, because we all believe we are unique in terms of the services and products that we offer, but also how do I position myself in a playing field of, or playing pool of so many other service providers, that I choose what it is that I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and the why behind what I do. Think about, and here we can think about the many organizations out there from if you look at Kulula, if you look at, that's no longer in South Africa, but if you look at BA, if you look at SAA, any of those flight companies and organizations out there, they had to believe that they were unique. They positioned themselves perfectly for the market and the target audience that they wanted to target. Again, it's all about where are we starting? What is that? What are those choices that we have to make, that we think we have, and that we have to integrate to decide, how do I win? How do I position myself that I'm continuously coming up, if it is a Google search or if it is standing in a room full of competitors, but also full of clients and customers? How do I win in that state? And again, it's not about competition, but it's about positioning yourself so that you do come up in conversation, so that you do come up with referrals from previous customers, previous clients that have done business with you, because you are positioning yourself differently. You have made a choice to say, I'm not going to be sitting with the masses. My strategy, my route, the theory that I have in terms of what it is that I want to achieve in my vision is going to give me these sets of elements that's going to help guide me to the process that I want. And yeah, I want you to think about your vision as a destination. We've all gone on a road trip to some destination, and we've chosen that destination. We've chosen, and I'm going to use a local destination like Cape Town. We want to go to Cape Town, and that's our destination. What is the strategy that's going to get us to that destination, that's going to get us to Cape Town? We need to think about, how are we going to go? Are we going to take a flight? Are we going to take a road trip? Are we going to do it where we're actually physically driving our own car? Are we going to go off the beaten track or take a short lift? Are we going to use a bus or a train? Or is this going to be an adventure where we're going to take 3 weeks to get to Cape Town, even though some of us can do it in a day, or in 2 hours if we take a flight? Again, it's not knowing the exact steps we're going to take on that route, but again, we've got choices. How are we going to integrate those choices? And once we've made the choice, let's say we decide to take that 3-week off the beaten track route or strategy to get to our destination. What are the decisions that we need to make en route to that? Where are we going to stay? What is the accommodation going to look? What are the options for those accommodations? What do I need in terms of fuel, or in terms of my car? Do I need to service it? You know, those sort of choices and decisions that you need to make prior to actually reaching your destination is all part of the strategy. You also don't know what's going to happen en route. You don't know if there's going to be roadworks, or if you're going to be turned away from that route that you had mapped out in terms of how you're going to get to Cape Town. And now you have to change your accommodation site or the province that you're going to be sleeping in that night. You don't know what's going to happen along that route. And again, it's not about the how, because the how comes in with your planning, it comes in with your flexibility and your ability to be agile and to navigate that route. But again, it's just, how do I position myself, as I've mentioned here, so that I can achieve? I might not know the how, but at least I have a theory of how I'm going to position myself, how I'm going to best position myself in order to win. And that's the key about strategy. It's really understanding that it is a route that we have to take. It is a guide, and it can be tweaked. It's not set in stone. Like our plans aren't set in stone, and like our vision is not set in stone. It will be tweaked because we grow as individuals, we experience, we learn lessons, and we live through circumstances as well. And in thinking about our strategy and in moving from our strategy and really understanding what that is, it is about that theory, that theorizing that we do initially. and look at it in terms of your vision. My vision is the outcome that I want to achieve, that destination that I want to reach. How do I theorize around the different possibilities of getting there? Again, it's not knowing the how, it's just formulating a process that I need to go through that will get me to achieve that how. And then from that, really understanding the specific area of my purpose, my why. Why am I doing this? Our why might have been, I need an income, I need a job, or I need to try this. Because, you know, when we start out as entrepreneurs, as women in business, you get very positive feedback from colleagues, friends, family when you embark on this journey. And unfortunately, you also get the negative side where people say, have you thought about it? The economy, you know, it's not the right place to start your business. You know, the economy, there's so much happening. The world is just, we don't know where things are going. The cost of living is high. You've got your monthly expenses at the end of every day, or at the end of every month that comes up. We've got school fees, we've got monthly bills, we've got a bond, we've got a car repayment, all of these things that come up, you know. And we start out, and I want to share this because that's where I started out, because of some getting positive, some giving me negative feedback, or maybe let me not use the word negative. Let me rather use the word as they were looking out for my best interest and trying to help me so that I don't get to a point where I'm unable to meet my obligations. And initially my mindset was, yes, I'm excited, I'm going to do this. I'm to the point where I got to where I said to myself, until I realized and I became aware of this narrative that kept playing in my head was, I will start out, but if it doesn't work, it's okay. I've got a career, I've got my skills, I've got my experience, I can go back into corporate. I can go back and find a job. I can go and work for an organization. I can put my CV out, and yeah, I can go back and find a job, and I can get paid where I don't have to worry if it doesn't work out. So that was the narrative that I want to say for the first 2 years of being in business was in my head, until I realized that if I don't change my mindset, if I don't change that narrative, and if I don't really understand the why of me starting out as an entrepreneur, my business is going to fly. It's going to get to a point where it's going to move, but it's going to stagnate, and it's going to eventually die, because my attitude and my mindset is wrong. What I'm going into, I'm looking for ways that I will fail. I'm looking for ways that I will not grow. I'm looking at ways where I will not earn an income. Or some people might say, I'm attracting that into my business. I'm attracting clients that's not going to pay me at the end of the month. Or I'm going to do or provide a service or a product and not get paid for that product. And therefore not being able to earn an income. And as much as strategy, as I've started, we've gone from strategy to theory to our why. I want us to also look at it the other way and think of our why and our purpose as our vision. If our why and our purpose and the vision isn't built on a strong foundation, and if it's not firm, and if we do not believe in that, how can we expect others to believe in us? How can we expect others to believe in our product, in our service? Because we don't believe in it. We don't have the assurance that, yes, I can do this. Yes, I am an expert. Yes, I am enough to be able to do it. Yes, I am enough for my organization, and to build the organization into that massive global organization that operates in different countries. If I don't believe it, how can I expect others to believe it? How can I expect my clients to believe in me? How can I expect my customers to believe in me? Because I don't believe it. I don't believe the narrative of the story that I've created. And therefore, your why needs to be extremely strong, which then assists and supports the theory, which then helps you with that guiding theory and theorizing of that vision that you have, and enables. And yeah, I want to share a quote that Simon Sinek has. He says, vision is a destination. It's a fixed point. It's the point that we want to get to. A fixed point to which we focus all our effort. Strategy is the route, an adaptable path to get us where we want to go. And I want to highlight the key word there is when we talk about strategy, it's adaptable path. It's not to say that that path is going to be straight and that path is not going to have obstacles in that path, and there's not going to be challenges, and there aren't going to be sometimes mountains and boulders on that path. It's not saying that it's not going to be curved. None of what he's saying is that it is going to be an easy road or path that you're going to walk. He says adaptable. And that's a key word, because it means that we need to be flexible enough to identify. But I want to take a step back. We need to be aware. And with awareness comes, this is not working. I need to tweak. Something needs to change. Something that I've done, I've changed what I've changed the strategy or the plans or the approach that I used in the past where it worked very well, and I've adapted and it's not working now. Or what I've done in the past isn't working. How do I need to change that? And again, it is really understanding that we need to be open, we need to be curious, and we need to be willing. If we cannot adopt that mindset, we will continue to play small. We will continue to not achieve that dream that we have and that vision that we actually have in terms of what it is that we want to achieve. And as much as we move forward, and I've spoken about this a little bit this morning in terms of our reflections and what it is that we want to do. And I've mentioned, or I've asked you at different stages, go back, review, reflect, think about where you were. I want to really now get into how do we reflect effectively enough that we can change our habits so that we can make 2024 magnificent, so we can make 2024 the best year or a better year than 2023 or than it was 2022. It's about what are we doing? How are we doing it? What are we doing differently? You know, Einstein has a saying that we expect different results, but we're doing exactly the same thing. And that's the strategy of madness, or the quote is, a mad person does that, where we do the exact same things and we expect different results. We can't do the same thing over and over and again and expect me to change, my family to change, my business or my organization to change, or my staff to change. If you aren't the leader in your organization that is pushing this and is putting this in motion, how do you expect your staff to take that baton up and to take it forward if you're not the one driving it? As a leader, you have to drive where it is that you want to go in your organization, or in the year, or in the next 5 years. So here, another picture. I love pictures because they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I want you to, in the chat box, just mention what it is that you see here. What is that first image that comes to mind? And it should be one image. A car. Thank you, Natalie. Yes. I see that Porsche parked there. I love that, Nikki. Yep, absolutely. My husband's favorite car is a Porsche. So that's his vision that he wants to achieve. Nature, a white car. Brilliant. So many of you, except for Sherilyn, that have said nature, have said that the image that you see here is a car. Now I'd like you to tell me what you see now. If you still see the car in this image, Now you see a forest. Now you see trees. Now you see pathways. And yeah, so in two paths. Awesome. Now you see hiking. I love that. And here I wanted to illustrate how easy it is to see only the reality from which our mindset and the attitude and the perspective that we see life through. Our eyes sometimes are very deceiving. I want to say our ears are sometimes very deceiving. Our mind sometimes is very deceiving. And why am I saying this? Because there's a quote that says, we see life, we see things not as they are, but we see things as we are. So we're seeing it from the attitude that we come to, or that we bring to life, or that we live life with. We see things through the perspective that we see. Our perspective might not be reality that's actually there. We see things through our own opinions and our own limitations of what is currently happening, or our environment that we're exposed to, or the situation that we're in. If we're living in our left brain continuously, if we're living in a state of constant flight or freeze, constant reacting, constant place or a state of anxiousness and frustration and anxiety and fear, you're never going to see the reality that's actually there. You're never going to see those doors that are actually open for you, or the opportunities that are there. Why? Because you are living in a very cloistered and closed off environment. And this picture is a beautiful illustration of that. Initially, we saw the car because that's what I want to say that lens that we looked at initially. And the minute I changed the view and I broadened the picture, what did you then see? You then saw two different paths. You saw a forest, you saw nature, you saw trees, you saw, some of you might not have seen, or might have seen it and didn't want to state the obvious, the blue skies in the background. And then you didn't see the car anymore. Then you saw only the forest. And then you had to take your lens back and say, do I still see the car? Do I still see that white roof that many of us have seen, or the green wheels? You know, again, it's how easy is it to remain in that state that we're in and not be open, curious, and willing to see things and to listen and to change our thinking and our mindsets into, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I don't see that. Maybe I should listen to others' opinion, or my staff more, because they are on the ground, or they can see things that I'm not seeing. Again, it's all about, how do I move from that vision of my organization and business in my hand to that global vision of that impact and that change that I actually want to make, that bigger picture. So if we look at where we are currently, today, November 2023, to where we were November 2023, 15th of November 2023 last year, to where we will be 2024, November 15th. Are you seeing growth? Are you seeing stagnation? Are you seeing opportunity? Or are you seeing another set of frustrations? Another set of, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know where I'm going. The economy, are you just seeing doom and gloom? Or are you seeing opportunity? Even though you don't know the how of how you're going to achieve that. And this reflection, or part of this reflection exercise, I wanted us to really start looking at, before we take the next steps into 2025 and we really start building 2024. I'm already thinking 2 years ahead here. Before we start moving into 2024, what is it that I really want to achieve? What are those goals that I set? Like I did this year, many of us have goals. Many of us have achieved those goals, or maybe didn't for whatever reason. Many of you are very close to achieving those goals. But what do I want to do differently now? What can I do differently now? Now that I have, and again, I want us to take the time after the session, and I want you to book a date with yourself. Book a date in your calendar. Book that time out. Whether you decide to actually pay yourself for that day, that's entirely up to you. But book that date, put it in your diary, blot out that time and say in your calendar you're busy. So when a client or a customer is asking you stuff, and I know as difficult as this is, because it's, do I get money coming in, or do I actually take time out for myself and my business? Because remember, we can't always work in on our business or in our business. We also need to work on our business. And working in our business, meaning we're working for clients. We need to work and put the time and the effort in to work in our businesses and organizations. And in doing that, take that time, block out your calendar, whether you need a day. I usually take a day. Sometimes it's 2 days, just depending on how much of these 5 steps I take. Well, I do all 5 steps, but how long it takes when I go through these 5 steps. The first one is celebrations. You know, we go through life, many of us, we're all guilty of this, especially as women, because we are brilliant at multitasking. We are brilliant at doing everything and being everything for everyone in our lives, that when things happen, we look for external validation. We look for external acknowledgement and external acceptance as to where we've gotten to, what we've achieved. And we want other people to say, yay, well done. You've done this. You've achieved that. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. And don't get me wrong, those are always amazing to get that feedback and to where we're lifting each other. And we need that. But I don't want it to get to the point where if we don't get that, we go into a depressive mode. We go into a state of, I'm not enough, or the imposter syndrome, or I'm not an expert, or I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't want us to get to that level. I want us to get to the point where we celebrate ourselves. We celebrate our achievements. And in this first step that we do, where we're celebrating, I want you to go back into this past year, into 2023, from the time that we started in January 1st to date. I want you to go and jot down, make a list of all your wins that you need to celebrate, because I guarantee you, many of us have not celebrated even one of those achievements. Not one, which is very sad. Whether it is with a glass of wine or glass of champagne or a chocolate or a book that you've been wanting to read, whatever way that you're going to celebrate or acknowledge those wins that you've had over the last 10 and a half months, almost 11 months, I want you to jot them down, because until we actually do this reflection process, we think we haven't achieved. We think we haven't won. We think we haven't grown as a person, as a woman, or as a woman in business, or as an entrepreneur, or as a person working in your organization or in your business. So take the time out and really celebrate all those wins that you've jotted. And I can guarantee you there will be more than 5 items. I want to say even more than 10 or 20 items that you should be able to list in the last 10 and a half months of what you've achieved. And you've achieved it in the effort that you've put in your business. Then I want you to look back in this year, in 2023, and really think about what is the lessons, what are those experiences that I've made that I've grown in, or that I might not have grown in, that might have been setbacks, that might have caused so much anxiety, that might have really gotten our hearts to the point where we felt like I'm having a panic attack. What are those things that have good or bad that have happened. And here I want you to divide it into two areas. One is from a business perspective. What are the 3 business lessons that I'm learning or that I've learned in 2023? And then the second is, what are the 3 life lessons that I've learned in 2023? And this, I want to say all 5 steps are critical in terms of growing and in planning for 2024. But I also want to say that sometimes we don't learn the lessons in the experiences that we've made, and we repeat them, and you can't understand, why is that person in my life again? Why did I attract that client? Why did I attract that customer that doesn't pay or that pays late? That brings about that anxiety for me in my business, or where I can't pay my staff. What is it that I have not learned or have not done differently to change? And if you do not learn the lessons in that, they're going to keep repeating themselves. So again, I'm only asking for 3 business lessons, 3 life lessons. Because the only time we take and we do reflection on this, will we be able to grow and learn. And the next one is clarity. Clarity in terms of what is it that we really want to achieve? What is it that we want to set out? And yeah, I want you to come up with 5 things, 5 big goals that you want to achieve in 2024 that will make 2024 better than 2023, that will make 2024 your best year in business yet. So big 5 things that you want to achieve, that at the end of 2024, when you're doing this reflection exercise, again, whether it's November, I do not recommend doing it in December, because again, we're trying to close off things, we're trying to prepare for the holiday, we've got all these other things that we know we're multitasking and doing. Learning, and again, it's lessons that I've learned over the last few years of being in business. Initially, I did it in December because then we think it's quiet and we're not going to be busy with clients. But then there's always other distractions. There's families, there's gatherings, there's celebrations that need to happen. You're not in the right frame of mind to do it then. Find time either in November or as early as October to start that process. You might not finish it in October, but at least you've started the process, so that come November, your plan for 2024 is done. And you can start 2024 knowing these are the goals that I want to achieve, and these are my next steps in terms of how I get there. So again, 5 big things that you want to achieve by the end of 2024. And in doing that, you can even write this up initially as a paragraph, because sometimes it's easier to write and then to pick out the key things that will make your 2024 the best year ever. And then I want you to think about your triumphs. And here, some of us will think of it as, yes, a little bit like celebrations, but it's not really. Here we're looking at what is those triumphs, or that will graduate us into the point where we feel we have achieved that which we set out to achieve at the end of 2024. So again, it's looking at, when we thinking about those little goals, I call them little, but they're not really little, where we breaking our goals into a monthly plan, what are those things that we can really say, from those 5 big goals that we've achieved, that we can now celebrate, and we can now get to the point where we've had a great year. We can say 2024 has been a magnificent year. 2024 has been the best year ever. And then step 5 is, we actually now need to draw in detail. Maybe not in detail as you start, but initially sketch out, draw what your ideal 2024 looks like. In thinking about those 5 big goals that you want to achieve in 2024, sketch that out, draw it out, find a diagram, or some people like to use a vision board. But I find that even if you use pictures, yes, they do help in giving clarity and in really giving you the opportunity to see it versus just being in your mind's eye. When we draw and when we write, there's something very different that happens within your mind and within your brain when you're actually writing and when you're drawing something out. And again, use different colors. Be curious, be adventurous in terms of how you sketch and how you illustrate your 2024. Really make it to the point where you can say, oh, I love what I've just created. Oh, I didn't know I was that creative. You know, you need to allow those creative juices to flow and really get to the point where, you know, where I asked you to think about your vision and to think of it as that big audacious goal that you want to achieve and that dream that you have. Allow it to flow freely when you draw this. And it's not just professionally. I want, when you go through this, think about your professional and your personal life, because we as much as some organizations do, and they still operate in isolation and in silos, we unfortunately do not. We cannot separate our family life and our business as much as we try. They do overlap. It's about not finding the balance, but in finding the harmony. How do we harmonize these different areas, these different streams, these different parts of who we are that makes us who we are in the life that we're trying to achieve? And ultimately, it starts with you. Not your partner, not your staff, not your colleagues, not your family or your trusted person that you can confide in and your trusted advisor, your coach or your mentor that's out there. It starts with you, because everybody else can only support you if you have the clarity of what it is that you want to achieve. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten, even with AI and fourth industrial revolution that we're currently living in, and chat GPT that's out there right now, we cannot read each other's minds as much as we tell that to our kids. We're unfortunately not that way inclined yet. So if you aren't clear with what it is that you want to achieve, how do you expect others to be able to implement that plan or to drive that plan or to buy into your vision and to see that vision that nobody else sees, but only you? So in going through this and in planning this reflection, once you've done these 5 magnificent steps, is where we now get into the detail and where we now get into actually planning what our 2024 looks like. And this is the state that I know every one of you are familiar with, where we start thinking about, oh, this is the goal, this is what I want to achieve. I want, like many of you mentioned, I want more clients. I want sustainability from an income perspective. I want to make sure that I have a new product, that it's launched, that it's selling successfully, or that the market takes to it. Whatever those goals is, this is the point that you actually get into that granular state of detail. So firstly, we need to look at our business isn't, yes, it might be owner operated or solopreneur or self-employed, but you do not just operate in terms of your products. It's not just your products that your business needs to function in. It's all different categories, and the categories are the different departments that your organization needs to build on and grow within. From your categories, you can then put down the goals that you want to achieve. And here, some people might say, okay, so I'm going to put my goals down into monthly goals and then break it down into weekly and then daily tasks and activities. Yes, that's all good and well, but I also want you to get into a point of fluidity. I want you to get into a state of flow where everything doesn't have to get to a point where it must happen, or it must happen at that point. Your goals can be throughout the year, and it should be throughout the year. So from January right through to December, but it doesn't need to be achieved in that month. And that's the fluidity that I'm speaking about. That's the flow that I want you to get into. Your activities that break down those goals in terms of how it is that you need to achieve, your time frames and your deadlines. Key and very, very important. Make sure that when we're talking about your goals, that you have your time frames, you've got your deadlines, and that we're talking about what are my capabilities, what are the resources that I have within my organization in order to achieve that. So again, be realistic in how you plan and how you plot your year for 2024. My plan, my goals, I literally, as I come up with my goals for 2024, I put them in the various months. I distribute them. I don't care whether it happens, my January goal happens in November or whether it happens in May. That is a detail that I'm not worried about. You know why? Because it's not about the when, it's about that it is achieved. Because anything can happen. As we know in business, we have to be flexible. Things happen like 2020, lockdown happened, we had to adjust. The same thing, 2022, 2024, we don't know what's going to happen. You must be able to adjust. But again, be realistic in what you put down and make sure that you have the capability and the resources to do that. And with that, you then, all of those things that you have in play then becomes integrated, then becomes aligned to that vision that you have. And here I want to share with you a visual of how you can look at your business. Your vision, and some people might say, oh, we should start with your vision on the top. And yes, we can. And a vision is always what it is that we're trying to work towards and what it is that we're trying to achieve. But again, if you do not have a foundation that you're building on, what are you building on? You cannot have a shaky floor, because then you will fall through. As unfortunately we've seen in many of our bridges around the country. But again, your vision for your business starts with, what is that impact? What is that vision statement that I have that entails the impact and the change that I want to bring? Whether it's for my customers, whether it's for my clients, whether it's for me personally, what is that lives there? And then that theory or that strategy or that guide, that design that will get me to achieving the vision that I have for my business and my organization. And what are the pillars that I am building my vision or my organization in or with? What is supporting that vision and that strategy? That's what I call our blueprint. What your blueprint, how it is that you operate, those capabilities, those resources that you have. And then what are the systems and the policies and the operations, and most importantly, the processes that you follow through in order for you to achieve that. And that becomes your business model. How am I operating? What is that model that I am working from? What is that blueprint that I have? You know, when we build, we always have our plans and our blueprints. You need to have that. If you do not have any of these points or elements in your organization, it is not going to be successful. And then lastly, once you have all of these, we then call it, you are operating in a state of corporate governance, where everything is in alignment, where you've sorted out your financial aspects or your compliance aspects, as we will go through shortly, where you are feeding these different elements of your life. So from a professional perspective, you are feeding your compliance in your business. You are feeding the quality management system of your business, and that's speaking to your policies, your processes, your procedures that you have, anything that governs your operations, whether it's even your product development, your human capital, the people within your business, whether it's your staff, whether it's the stakeholders that support you in running and operating your business and the efficiency of your business, as well as your sales and marketing. Are you feeding into all of these elements in terms of your planning and your strategy? And do they all speak to ultimately to the vision that you have in your organization? And then on a personal perspective, Are you feeding your physical health? Because remember, without you, in most cases, some of us, we are the only people in our business. If you're not physically healthy, your business suffers because you can't do the work, you can't bring in money. Are you feeding your mental health? And that is your mindset. That is your thinking. That is your state of, yes, your dips, your frustrations, your anxiety, your fears that will come. And I'm sorry to say, they don't go away. It just comes at a different level. How are we coping? Do we have mechanisms? Do we have a support structure that help us through this different elements? How are we feeding our spiritual health? And then lastly, how are we feeding, or before we get to the last point, how are we feeding our mindset? What are we doing? Are we staying in a state of a fixed mindset? And again, we move from one mindset to another. Curiosity mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, a growth mindset. Some of us are in a fixed mindset because we're scared to move. But where are we when we take stock and we do this reflection process? And are we feeding our families? Are we really there in support of what it is that we want to achieve? In finding that harmony between business, working in our business, finding time to be a wife, to be a partner, to be a mother, to be a friend, to be a daughter, or whichever area, whichever title that you currently wear. Again, we need to feed into those areas of our lives and to every aspect of it. And when we start doing these 5 steps and we're feeding correctly and we're finding harmony, we then start looking at what are those steps to our business that will project us into the 2024 that we want to get into. Again, it starts with our purpose. Do we know our purpose and our why? Do we really understand that? Have we prioritized us, as in me, and our business? Yes, our clients are important. They are very important because they bring the money into the business. But if we don't find time to work on our business, we will not have a business left to work in. And then, are we in a state of readiness and a state of flow? Are we the flow? You know, a stagnant waters eventually start stinking. And when we look at water, doesn't matter where you put it in, it flows, it moves, and it adapts. That's the state that we need to be in. A flow of readiness, because then it doesn't mean that we're getting ourselves ready. We're already ready for that opportunity that knocks on the door. It's not, how am I going to do this? It's, yes, give me that opportunity. I can do it. I am confident. I have the expertise. The next one is be your own rescue. You know, we always expect other people to find us. We always expect other people to talk about us, talk about our products. And yes, there are amazing people that do both. But then we also expect people to know our worth, to people to know our experience and our expertise. How will they know if we don't share or if we don't elevate ourselves? So we have to be that one person that's our own motivator. In the morning, as much as we don't feel like getting up, we must come to our own rescue. Unfortunately, sometimes our partners are that for us, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes our friends and colleagues and mentors and coaches are that, and then sometimes they're not. Why? Because we aren't always open and truthful and honest about where we are. So make sure that you can rescue yourself when the time comes. Practice stillness. And some people might see this as, some people might know it as meditation. Some people might know it as being prayerful or going into nature. Whatever you identify as, find time, like I've asked you, to book a day out of your business for yourself in doing these steps and practicing it. Find time to be still, to clear your mind and to not allow any distractions into your space. Journaling. I know some people have, I don't have the time. Some of us feel that we might be too doing things. Some of us say we have ASD, what is that term now? ASD, where our attention is very, very sporadic and we can't focus on things. We must use technology more. Some people prefer journaling as in writing things down, and some people have a diary, some people have notebooks, some people do electronically. We have technology that can help us with this. Sometimes it's sending ourselves voice notes or recording our thoughts, and that's all journaling is. It's just taking our thoughts and dumping them down so that we don't have to keep it in our heads all the time, because it is exhausting to remember continuously, I mustn't forget to do that. I mustn't forget to do that. I need to do this. I need to phone that client back. I need to send that report, or I need to send that invoice, otherwise I don't get paid. Why do we do this to ourselves all the time? This overload of information and items that we need to remember. Again, realistic goals. Make sure that your vision can be audacious. Make sure your goals that it is that you want to achieve are realistic with the resources and the capabilities that you have. And then very, very important and a very crucial element that as business owners and women in business, unfortunately, the stigma and the narrative out there is that we're constantly in competition with each other. We aren't. We aren't in competition. We should have a community of practitioners, a community of women that supporting each other, like we found in our group chats, in our WhatsApp group, but also in the safe spaces that we feel we can share our fears and our triumphs and what it is that our uncertainties that we have. Find your community, find your tribe, and value that tribe that you find yourself in. I know I've said balance, mind, body, and soul, but I've used the word balance so that you can understand that all of these elements need to find harmony with each other. All of these elements need to be integrated in the way it is that we do and how we do and what we do. And lastly, embrace those new possibilities and those new opportunities. They aren't going to come knocking on your door forever, because they will be there. They'll come maybe 2 or 3 times after that, and then they'll disappear. Why? Because we are too afraid to take that next step. So 3 things: be open, be curious, and always be willing. Even if you don't know how, that's where your community of practitioners comes in. That's where your support system comes in. That's where your tribe comes in. They will be there to support you. We are there to support you and guide you through the process. And again, your reflections, 2022, look at how you've grown from 2022 to 2023, or how you've stagnated between this year if you haven't moved. And decide today. You've got lots of choices, but you've only got one decision that will catapult you to where you want to be in 2024. And that is, do this reflection. Take the time out to grow your business and where it is that you want to get to. And 100%, Natalie, we do put our businesses before ourselves. And in this, I've got 2 more slides that I just want to share with you. I want us to look at this. We can only grow if we allow ourselves to grow. This slide specifically says, you will become your floor. So right now we are on the floor. And we need to grow in order for our ceiling to become our next floor, so that we can continuously move forward. We can continuously take the next step. Otherwise, we will stay between these murky waters, and either we'll stay on that floor and we'll never get to that ceiling. Because I know you felt the point where I move from one point to the next. I feel like I'm ready, and then I hold back, and then I'm stuck in a particular place. But I know that we've also felt where we're ready, but we don't know how. Or we think about when you started out your business many years ago, or where you're feeling now, those of you starting out, or when you started out your first job in the position that you were in, or when you started out as a new mother or a new wife. Everything was new. Everything was different. Everything was scary. But what did we do? We took one step at a time. We didn't worry. Sometimes we did about what was to come, but now we know better. Now we're more aware. Now we can choose differently. But where are you now? How much have you grown now? How many experiences and life lessons have you made? You are now at a different place. You are now standing on the ceiling that was there at one stage. And lastly, the quote that I want to leave you with is the one that Mandela has given us, and he's given us many amazing quotes. But this one is, action without vision is only passing time. Vision without action is merely daydreaming. And you know, we've all been told at some point in school, we must stop daydreaming. But vision without action can change the world. So we all had a choice when we saw the social media post about today. We had a choice to make. We had choices. We made a decision. Again, this morning, we had a choice to hop on this call, to be in this room, to be present and to be conscious. We made that decision. At the end of the session, we have another set of choices. Am I going to repeat 2022? Am I going to repeat 2023? Or am I going to learn from what I've gained in these 2 years? And I'm going to make 2024 magnificent and my best year ever. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. Let's build the future we want together, and let's build the future I want in my business. And I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, if that's okay. And then at least I can see all the beautiful women around the room.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. That was an amazing session. I really appreciate the time you took to put those slides together. I know that, I'm definitely going to take some of the lessons you shared today and apply it to how we start planning for 2024 as well. Yolanda, before we close off the session, please feel free to share your contact details in the chat as well, but I will share it with everyone that registered. And yes, if you need support with your business strategy or any consulting support, please do reach out to Yolanda. Thanks for claiming your seat at the table today. We have run out of time. We have now reached 12 o'clock, but please feel free to put your messages in the chat for Yolanda if you found the session valuable. If there's anything else you would like to share, we'll keep it open for the next minute or so. And have a lovely, lovely afternoon further. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube or later on, please feel free to join the WomX community, and you can reach us on womex@yidi.co.za. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon further.
Yeah, and just a thank you from myself as well, Jayshree, for the platform and the opportunity to share my insights and knowledge. And thank you to all the women around the table here this morning and allowing me to share. And thank you for being active and engaged. And as much as I know there were points where the chat was quiet, I could hear and feel you thinking and taking down your notes and like, what am I going to do? How am I going to action the stuff that came out of today? So thank you very much. I really appreciate your valuable time as well.